Hi, everyone. Great to see you. This is Kayla Walsh with Mirabel Technologies, and I am here today with Travis Henderson. And I'm so excited because he's going to give us a back behind the scenes look into what he does and who he is and all of the hard work that he puts into his publication. So, Travis, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad you invited me.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how long you've been with your company,
Okay.
what's going on over there.
So I am with Hometown Values Magazine, which is a division of Deseret Media Companies based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. I've been with the company now for about 21 years. I've been responsible as associate publisher of Hometown for about 17 of those years. And that's pretty much about it for me.
That's a lot. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, we're really excited to have you today. I know that you've been with magazine and newspaper manager for a long time as well. When did you guys start with us?
We started in 2013, in June of 2013.
Okay. All right. So I know that was kind of a long time ago, but let's
Yeah.
talk about the onboarding process. How did that go for you guys?
It went pretty seamless. We were able to take all the information out of our old system and import it into Magazine Manager, and it was actually pretty smooth. It took a while just to get the data all set up the way it needed to be in, but I mean, I think at the time, I think we uploaded close to 20,000 account records
Wow.
into the system, and so for what we had to do, it went smooth.
Yeah. And you guys continue to build on what you have in the system, right? It hasn't
Yep.
just been that one go.
Yes, when we first started out, we only used the system for entering contracts and also doing the flat plans. That was one of the main reasons why I looked at getting Magazine Manager. When I took over the company, when I was working with the magazine, my reps were actually doing layouts of their magazine on a piece of paper with a pencil and
Oh,
faxing it into us. And
did
some
you say
of the
faxing?
they
Faxing it
were
in? I
faxing,
love it.
yes. And so I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so
Yeah.
that's how I found Magazine Manager. And it was just night and day. I mean, I had reps that were spending hours and hours laying out like a 60-page magazine. And then all of a sudden, okay, this client dropped out and this needs to change. And they would have to redraw
Start
the
over.
entire layout and send it in. And so that was one of the main reasons why I looked at going with the system. So
Yeah. Oh, I can't even imagine having to draw all of those little squares and it's not like you guys are just a monthly publication now. You guys
yeah,
have grown and are far more frequent.
yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, on that note, tell us a little bit, what are the modules that you use the most? So, you are what we consider a super user.
Okay.
So, you kind of have your hand in all of the different pots in Magazine Manager. So, you cross all the modules, you help all the people.
Yeah.
But what do you primarily focus in on and what do you find the most useful?
For me, I use quite a few of the modules. And so over time, I've learned at one point when I was started with the company, I was over the sales side. And then as we grew, it got too much for me to handle the sales side and also the production side. So then I took over the production side for probably 6 years. And so I learned the whole back end side of it. And what happened is I had a rep that worked for me that was part of the initial setup. So she was the one that went in and set up all the rate cards and the products and all that kind of stuff. And then she left and there was no one else to do it. And so I had to get a crash course on how to do everything in Magazine Manager. And so I started doing that, started to figure out different things we could do. And then I kind of took over that, and then I was put in charge of sales again. So now I manage both the production and the sales side. And so we use a lot of the accounting features now. When we first started out, we had a legacy accounting product that was bridged like 6 or 7 companies, and so we couldn't pull ours apart. And so it was kind of difficult because um, we would have our reps sell everything, put the contracts in, and then I would have a person that would go in and go into all the contracts that were Magazine Manager, take them all out and re-enter everything into our billing system. So we had billing in there as well.
Wow.
So she would take about a week to do that because we would turn anywhere from 600 to 1,000 ads a month. And so she would have to cram all that in a week. And so I learned a lot of the production side and the accounting side, and then also just on the sales side and the reporting side. So I use quite a few of the different modules.
So kind of backing up a little bit, there was a lot of redundancies before
Yes.
fully utilizing Magazine Manager because you've had accounting over here, entering things multiple times. Have you found since you've started, really utilizing everything in Magazine Manager that it's been both a time and money saver for you guys? Has that simplified your life?
Yes, it has. With that accounting software we're using, like I said, it was being used across multiple companies within our entity. And I think we were spending close to $100,000 a year for that,
Wow,
just for the accounting side. And that's where the GL was located and all that. And so we were able to get rid of that cost and just the amount of time that I had that one person working on just re-entering everything that was already entered in Magazine Manager would take her upwards of 5 days. And it would
wow.
be like, okay, reps, you can't put anything else in during this time. If you do, you need to notify us. There can't be any changes. And so there were a lot of restrictions. And now we sell all the way up to the point we go off to press,
That's
because
crazy. So
we're able
you
to
had
do
to
that.
stop sales so that you could
Yep.
handle AR, and you had to pay 100,000 extra dollars for it.
Yeah. A
Wow,
year.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. I'm not even sure I knew that. That's
Yeah.
intense. I'm super glad we
Yeah.
got you all set up then.
Yeah. I was glad too. And that was only a couple of years ago that we got the accounting side moved over.
Yeah.
And so that was good. And we also had the same issue with our art site. We contracted with the company outside of India, and we were using an Indian firm over there. And it was okay at times. So all the creative went there. We used their software to turn everything, make changes and all that. Then we'd have to upload the art into Magazine Manager. And so we were able to step away from that aspect of it. I think it's probably been about 6 years ago. And so now everything is built here. It's all set up with our own design team. It doesn't go offshore. It's definitely been a huge blessing.
Wow. So just between accounts receivable and production, you have saved, let's just estimate somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 a year, give or take,
I would say
for.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. That's so great. Tell me a little bit about how you guys have sort of customized Magazine Manager. And I know you have some things you want to show me because there's,
Sure.
out of the box, Magazine Manager has worked for you guys, but because of the frequency when you brought Deseret in, you wanted to simplify things even further. So we did some
Yeah.
custom development. Our team did some custom development for you as well.
Yeah. One of the big things that we had is so on a monthly basis, I send out 20 different versions of our magazine, and they all go out at the same time. And so one thing we ran into is being able to track where we are on page counts, because as a lot of people know, when you're printing a magazine, you have to go up in page counts. And so they're all in increments of 4 pages or 8 pages, just depending on your signatures. And so what I ran into is that I needed to know where we were at any given time, especially on our last week when we go to press. And so what we do is on that last week before we go to press, I lock the books. I look at the page count and I look at where we are for each magazine and figure out, okay, we're going to lock this book at 8 pages. And I lock it up, and then we just start selling it out till it's full. And so I needed a report that I could see everything all at once, everything. And so I had you guys create a report for us. I'll go ahead and share my screen if that's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Okay, so let's see. So what we would do is we have this report called, make sure, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So page availability report. So what I do is right now we're working on November. So I pull the November date for the whole entire month.
February. February
Yep. So
dates.
from
Gotcha.
February. And then I search, and this, I am able to go in by using the publication schedule. I can set my page counts. And so like right now in Box Elder County, this is an 8 page magazine. I'm at 6.83 pages. I know that the front cover and the back cover are sold, and that's how much revenue I have in it. For instance, I look at here, like on East Side, I've got it set at 16 pages, but I only have 11 and a quarter page sold. And knowing the rate that we're going at now, we're going off to press on Friday. I know more than likely I'm going to have to drop that down to a 12 page magazine, because
Yeah.
I don't want to fill it with $100 ads, because then I just lose all my profit off the bottom. And so this is a report that you guys curated for me that I use daily. And so I can see exactly where we're at
Wow.
and
So
just
that's where
making sure
everything stands right now live. You don't
it's
have to
live.
feed anything. It's just based off of
Oh,
what your reps are entering in. you
Yep.
automatically get. That's amazing. That's a great
Yeah.
report. So we custom created this report for you. What is that process like? I know that there's a lot of bad publicity surrounding custom development, but
Uh-huh.
I know we have a really great team to work with, but of course
Yes.
I'm going to say that, but tell me what it's like to work with our team.
The team is great. I mean, I went back in and I told them what I was looking for, and they told me that there was a fee, and I understood, and they gave me an estimate on what that fee would be. And so I said, let's move forward with it. And it was very, very reasonable. It wasn't like, okay, this is going to be $10,000. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it was a really, really good rate. And they were able to create it. And if we had something I needed to tweak on it, I would just let them know, and they were able to tweak it. And I've done this multiple times with your development team. They've been able to jump in and help me when I couldn't find what I needed to find in the system, and
Yeah.
customize it for us at a reasonable rate.
That's great. That's great. So out of the box, it works. And then for
Yes.
really specific things that you want to make your life easier, you
Yes.
can even have something custom created. And it doesn't take a long time. That's one of the things that I really like about our team is they're super responsive to things. They don't take a long time to get back to you
Yeah.
on creating those custom things. So
Yeah. No, it's great.
great.
It's
Great.
definitely great.
Awesome. So you do a lot in the way of production.
Yep.
You're in our digital studio pretty frequently, which is
Yes.
our pagination tool.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So one thing that we had happen is because we have 20 magazines that go off to press at the same time, we're having to lay out all these different versions of the magazine. And the way the system was set up now is that we could either wait until the very end and then lay out the magazines and then import InDesign, the InDesign files, or magazine manager into the InDesign files. But we had so many things changing from minute to minute on that last week. We'd have a client go, okay, I want to go from 2 zones to 5 zones, or I want to take my half page to a full page. And so what we were running into is we would go into magazine manager and find out, okay, we had all these changes. And so we'd have to go to InDesign and have to update that. So we'd have to rebuild the book again and again and again. And so what we did is we had a request. I had a designer that designed a system for us back in the day before we were using magazine manager for the art side. And I said, this is what it used to do. Can you do the same thing? And my team worked with your team, and that's what we came up with. And so let me show you what that looks like. So what we have is we've got our InDesign. And so what would happen is, as we're laying out the magazines, what we did is we had it set up to where we would get a finals folder. Let me pull that up real quick. So we'd have our finals folder here, and this would show the artwork that was in the system. And so everything gets assigned a number in your system. And so what we did is we put together a finals folder. And what we did is we made it to where when an ad got booked, it would create an ad jacket for it and drop it into this finals folder on a shared drive for us. And then what we would do is we could then take that file, drag it into InDesign, and it would pop up in InDesign. Let me just pull it out, and perfect. I picked one that was perfect. What would happen if there was no artwork attached to it? It would come up as just a box, and it would show the details on who the client was, what the order number was, what the size of the ad was. And then it was linked back into Magazine Manager. So when the rep uploaded the art, it would pop into the InDesign folder. That was
Great.
something that we didn't have to do manually anymore, because before we had to do it manually. It would be like, okay, all this art came in. Now I got to drag and drop it. Now we can lay out the magazine a week in advance and just start dropping new ads as they come in. And then when the rep uploads and approves the art, it automatically pops in. And
That's
so that
amazing.
was huge for
Yeah.
us. I mean, because literally we would spend hours and hours and hours that last week going, okay, I'm going to go into Eastside, got to go
Right.
look for new art, and then have to go into that finals folder and drag it onto the page. And it was just, it was rough to say the least. And so this
Yeah.
has been a huge lifesaver for us. And that was development that you guys helped us with.
That's great. Wow. I love that. That's so fun. I love
Yeah.
seeing how everybody uses Magazine Manager and Digital Studio a little bit differently. Everybody can, makes it their own and builds
Yep.
the tools that they need. I just love that.
Well, what was nice too is when
Here's
we're
your
laying
flat
out
plan.
InDesign, the person that was doing it would pull up InDesign, pull up the flat plan and Magazine Manager, and they would just go in here, and this is where they would get the jacket number. So it'd
Yep.
pull into the job jacket, And that's how they would know how it needs to be laid out in the magazine. So here's that same number, the 8785 297. They'd be
Yeah.
able to drag that, and that's how they know what ad goes where. And it's been an amazing product for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad. So you've mentioned a couple of times the time savings. And I
Yes.
think that there's always this misconception that um it's like a hidden cost, right? Time equals money. We hear this all
Yeah.
the time. So, if we look at all of the time that you have saved, we talked about the 150,000 because you were able to get rid of some of those silos and get everything into Magazine Manager. But what about those hidden costs? Like if you had to make an estimate, what would you think? I mean, could you make an estimate on the amount of time you've saved and what that translates to in a dollar figure in a year?
Uh, I I don't know how I would do that.
Yeah.
I just know it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first started with the company, I had me that was over hometown. Then I had a manager that worked for me, and I had, I think, two coordinators that helped coordinate the ads. And I had a whole design team of 5 or 6 people. And we were doing about half of the revenue we're doing now. Now we're doing, yeah, double what we did back then. And it's me, and I have a coordinator, and I have a designer, and I have an account person. So there's 4 of us pushing out 20 different magazines and all of our supplemental products that we do within the magazine with half the staff we were using 16, 17 years ago.
So half the staff, double the revenue.
Yeah. That should
That's
give you some
amazing.
numbers.
Yeah, we can pretend. We
Yes.
can make those
Yes.
up.
I
Yeah.
couldn't give you exact figures, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of that is Magazine Manager and how efficient it is for us and how we're able to do what we do now.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so glad to hear that, Travis. Anything else that you want to add or anything that you would say to somebody who was thinking about facing the potential of a switch? Anything you would say to them?
I would highly recommend it. I really have not found any issues with the system. Everything that we've thrown at you guys, you've been able to handle. The thing I really like is the updates. I know in the system we used to have, if an update came out, we would have to pay for that update.
Mhm.
And you guys are constantly looking at new ways to do what you do. And that has been a huge benefit for us. I mean, the fact that just recently you rolled out the event side of the platform, we do events, and now we're going to be moving our events into here, just all that stuff. And what's nice is I remember I did a wish list item. It's probably been a month ago, and you guys came out with an update, and it answered that wish list item. And so the fact that you're developing all the time and you're not stagnant, that's huge.
Yeah.
And you don't see that with a lot of software. They usually get you in and they lock you down and you're in a contract and, oh, you want this? This is going to be $10,000 or, and you don't see that with you guys. It's been great.
Good, good. Well, we're really happy to have you as a customer, as a friend. I love having you as a client, so you're definitely stuck
Thank
with me,
you.
that's for sure.
I hope so. I don't want to lose you. So,
Awesome, Travis. Go ahead. You can stop sharing now. Thank you
okay.
so much for showing all of us all of those different pieces of your business and what you guys are doing. You guys obviously have a very well-oiled machine, and we're just really happy to be part of it. So thanks for letting us be your provider. We really appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions at all, you can reach out to anyone on our team for more information.